Hey guys, BigfeetzGaming again, and today, thanks to Chimeric Games and Pixel Jam, we're going to be talking about Novadrift. So, just a quick note beforehand, I ain't going to have much negative to say about this one. And being given the key for free or purchasing it, my opinion here would be exactly the same. The game just flat out rocks. In the background is mostly going to be footage from a recent stream with some pre-recorded stuff, so let's get down to business, shall we? So, Novadrift is advertised as a roguelite space shooter that melds a classic arcade experience with modern ARPG elements. But quite frankly, I've been describing it as Asteroid after it's been dragged kicking and screaming into the future. Each game starts as you in a very small, very basic ship against waves of enemies where each kill grants you experience and each level up gives you the opportunity to upgrade your ship in a pretty large variety of ways, leading to some pretty unique builds. I mean, I've got one game barraging enemies with hordes of grenades spewing out of my sides, to watching my drones and turrets rip enemies to shreds in the next. Getting further and killing more enemies grants you more score, which in turn works towards unlocks that you'll see in your next playthrough. And whilst your ship from that run might be lost, your unlocks are very much permanent. The game controls in a very similar vein to Asteroid in the sense that you can turn your ship and thrust, but unlike Asteroid, your ship does slow down pretty quick on its own. Your aim makes a direct line in the direction you're facing for the most part, so definitely not a twin stick shooter if that's what you're after. Personally, I prefer a controller for this one, but the keyboard does just work as well. Let's talk about the upgrade system. At a very base level, you have 3 ship systems that you get to choose from on your first 3 level ups, being your weapon of choice, the ship's body, and what type of shield you will be using. And within each of these choices, there are quite a few added to the pool, and although you'll only be able to choose one of 3 options on the first few level ups, you can spend precious points further down the line to change them out. After the first 3 level ups, you get a choice of 7 modification options each time you level up, as well as the option to change one of your core pieces of gear out if you didn't like your starting options. These mods come in a few generalised categories, being hull and thrust, shields, constructs and weapons. And each one of these mod options is a part of a small 3-part mod tree, meaning that often if you want the best of a specific mod, you're going to have to invest points into each tree in order to reach it. Some of these mods have some pretty crazy implications, such as completely removing your shield for a massively increased hull, or vice versa, doubling your base projectile count and even making your drones fire your weapon alongside their own. The amount of build variety is pretty astonishing for a game like this, and it lends itself to a high level of replayability. So, on to the enemies, of which the game has a pretty good amount of base enemies which will try to ruin your day, alongside some stronger elite enemies and even bosses. The enemies range from those that will make it their mission to chase you down, snipers, and even tanky hives of death that will continuously spawn enemies at you, of which explode upon death, sending projectiles flying everywhere. I'd recommend killing those ones rather quickly before your screen becomes swarmed. I've only seen a few bosses thus far, and there could well be more, but they really are a royal pain in the ass. Not unfair, but they will punish you for being lazy. A giant crescent that spews lasers, you know what, I don't even know how to describe some of these, you'll find out soon enough. There's even a train that occasionally flies across the screen, having a varied amount of carriages, of each which is going to spew out XP upon being destroyed, of which, according to the developers, there is a 1 in 200 million chance of the train having 100 cars, which would yield quite a ridiculous amount of XP. So, up to this point I've been pretty much extensively positive, and there's a pretty good reason for that. I really can't find many, if any, flaws with this. If I had to nitpick, I'd say maybe tone down some of the visual effects, especially with the grenade weapon. Once you get a large amount of projectiles, it can turn into an almost eye-bleaching experience. Fun for you, not for your eyes. It would also be nice to independently adjust the music volume from the effects volume. As much as I like the music, it kind of just fades out and the effects are all you hear. Let me adjust that to my own preference, allow the music to take more of a centre stage. So let's get down to brass tacks once more. The question is, would I buy this game? And more importantly, would I recommend you buy this game? Hell yes. At the time of writing this review I have 10 hours played, and I'm sure I'll quite happily put in another 10, and maybe another 10 after that. At just over £10, this is a no-brainer in my eyes if you're all into roguelike games, or want an experience not dissimilar to games of the past such as Geometry was. I couldn't recommend this game more if I'm being honest. I'll leave a link to the developer and publisher's social media pages, as well as the Steam store page down below if you're at all interested in the game. There's also a pretty active Discord that I'll drop a link to. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video, and if there's any criticisms I'd be more than happy to hear them, as this is still a new format to me, as prior to this I've been mainly streaming. Speaking of streams, I stream live on Twitch every day except Wednesday and Thursday at 7 PM GMT, and you can find a link to that down below, as well as my Discord and Twitter where I post the majority of my updates. But that's all for now folks, I hope you've enjoyed, and ciao for now.